Oh,
Oops. Hey, Sarah.
Hey,
I'm playing around on the website. Well, it's 7:30. Never mind. Hold on.
Don, we can't see you yet.
Oh. Why, do you have to see me?
Yeah,
I'd like to see your ugly face.
But what if I haven't ate dinner and I want to eat dinner? You guys don't want to watch me eat, right?
Oh, you've ate dinner.
I have not.
as
I was
long as
working.
you,
I was
Just
working when
long
you
as-
called me.
just as long as you share.
Tacos.
Taco Bell?
See, here I
Okay,
am.
let's call this meeting to order with the pledge. I pledge
I pledge
allegiance
allegiance
to the flag
flag
of
of
the
the
United States
of America and
and
to the republic for which it
stands,
stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everybody. Is there any additions to the agenda?
I have none tonight.
I have a question, Sarah. You have the closed session. Don't we have to request that if you and Matt want to go into closed session, we just can't say it's a closed session, can we, or not?
Matt and I both do want to go into closed session for that.
Okay. Okay. We have to hear that from you guys. Entertain a motion.
Motion to accept the consent agenda as present.
Support.
We got a motion and support.
Wait.
Any discussion?
Bob, did you just say motion to accept the consent agenda?
Oh, yes, I did. Motion to approve the agenda.
And I support that.
Thanks.
Okay,
Sorry.
Sarah.
I was lost how we got that far already.
Was it
Hotchkiss,
yes.
Campbell,
Yes, sorry.
There's
Eschenbacher,
Yeah, Sarah.
Hall,
Yes.
Jones Hollaback,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Mayor Green.
Yes, motion carried. Are there any public comments from visitors? Are there any comments? See anybody, Sarah?
I don't see anyone.
Okay. Moving on to communications. MML Elected Officials Academy, Core Weekender virtually. Anybody wants to sign up for that? That's
Okay.
real soon. Move on to the consent agenda. Policy Committee minutes of February 1st. Finance Committee minutes of February 1st. Regular council minutes of February 1st. Invoices, department reports, police reports, annual and monthly. Fire report, annual and monthly. Code enforcement, DPW/water report, wastewater treatment plant report, and municipal parking violations report. Any
Sarah?
questions?
Yeah, got one for Sarah. Page 5 of the finance committee meeting minutes. It was the second quarter financial report, not the first. On page 5,
No motion to approve.
yes.
Oh, okay, I was looking, I was like, okay, second,
Yeah,
gotcha.
it was the second quarter, not the first. You got it right in all the other ones, but that one there is, I don't know, you must have,
I will make that correction on the minutes.
just so when you get to doing it, you understand what you did yourself. Blame it on the deputy clerk and
Does any of the Brian or any of the chiefs want to report, give a summation of their annual reports?
Are you asking us, Joe, to go over them or?
Or
you have a
just,
question?
just touch some high points in them, if anything's out of the ordinary.
I don't think anything's out of the ordinary other than just the effect COVID had on a lot of the reporting with our arrests, and those numbers, I think, were a little bit down, but we don't really have an accurate count because obviously the court was not in session. So everybody the only people that they would actually lodge were felons or violent cases, if there's violence that was part of the case. For instance, your retail frauds, nobody got arrested. They were all basically cited, so to speak, and turned over to the court. So we really, until those cases are adjudicated, we don't have any hard numbers. You can only assume, where they're at. So some of our numbers are down because of that. None of you got any real accurate report throughout this COVID thing just for that reason. There's not a whole lot we can do about it now. I have a suspicion that as we move through COVID, we'll have some really big numbers, but it's just pretty much catch up from this past year. So I think I included a number of cases that the guys worked on. And I think I've made the council aware of some of the things as we've gone through some of these meetings. We've had quite a few big cases this year or this past year, and the officers have done a great job. So.
Are you moved into your new facility?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm in the new office now. I mean, not entirely. It's going to be a process. We're trying to expedite it. But for instance, the evidence room, property room with all the evidence, I haven't even started on that yet because it's going to be such a big project. It's all got to be controlled. But we're getting there. The snow has kind of stopped us because we were moving stuff over a little bit at a time. Again, the facility is really nice and we're grateful. Thank you. And yeah, as soon as we get all settled, for anyone of you that would like to kind of walk through, please stop by. We'll give you the nickel tour.
But the contractors are out of there, right?
Yes, the last contractor was in 2 days ago just to do some touch up. That was the floor people. There was a couple of issues with the kick plates on the bottom of the walls that had come unglued, but they took care of all that. So I think we're good. I don't know. I'm not aware of anything that wasn't completed.
Did the door between City Hall and the new police station get resolved?
I don't really, it's temperamental and we just have to make sure it's secured and when it closes. I don't know if the contractor intends on working on that. They seem to acknowledge that there was an issue with it. We just need to make sure when we close it that it's secure. So.
My question is that door really needed?
From you mean the one that goes into the lobby?
Yes.
Yeah, it has to be. We have to have it just for, lien rules and security, criminal justice information system security. Yeah, it's the same as having the locked door where the firemen come in to, or any city workers come in to use the weight room. That's got to be secured for the same reason. So.
Any other questions for Brian? How about Chief? Akra.
Good evening, everyone. No, I don't have any questions. I did a pretty thorough report. It does show last year of 2020 was our second biggest run count for the existence of the Carroll Fire Department. The year before we had the actual record, so we're only down by a few runs from that. Other than that, we're just continuing to plug away. We're on course again this year. We're way ahead of runs from last year already this month. So just a lot of structure fires lately. And of course, with the cold weather, doesn't help anything, but all the equipment's up and running good. All the firefighters are healthy and we're doing okay.
Okay. Any questions for Jeff or Curtis?
I do
Jeff,
have-
are we having very many freeze ups? I hear a couple of people are having problems with frozen pipes or.
I think we've had like two frozen meters that we've replaced in the last month. Other than that, I haven't heard of any other issues that we've had about that. Besides that break we had out in front of the DPW building, but that, just probably was overtime, gave loose.
Okay.
Jeff, I actually, I had a public comment about over on Mary Jane Court, I think it is, about not getting thoroughly plowed. And could you just explain to me like the mentality that goes into plowing and salting, just so like as a citizen I understand like the general state of the roads given a storm?
Okay, usually we bring guys in right away and hit the major streets. You're going to hit your trunk lines, 81 through town, and then you're going to hit your major streets like Hooper and Frank and Guilford. And then we start working, once we get all those done, then we start working further out in locals. Like today, for instance, we didn't get into the local streets really until the afternoon to get in them. Yes, some of the alleys, all the alleys got plowed today. Even the trail walk, we even had the Kubota out and doing some of the sidewalks that we address on a regular basis. So, and that's a priority work, is the major trunk lines first and then the major roads. Then the locals are last, of course.
Yeah, the comment that I received was that that a plow drove by with the plow up and didn't actually do anything when they went through. But I will say that today the plowing response was very good. My street was cleared off pretty quick, it seemed like, and it was a lot better than what seemed to linger last week.
I'm not sure and aware of it. I mean, I know we've had a lot more light snows. We've been going through quite a bit of salt on the roads. We've been salting pretty regular right now, trying to keep the roads clear, especially this past weekend. Guys were out doing the majors on Saturday and Sunday.
So how is our salt supply? Are we doing okay, or do we need to look?
I think we should be all right this year. I would just say we probably have between 150 and 200 ton left. Right now, as it is, we usually put in our early order here in March. I just talked to Sarah about it coming up, and we're probably going to have to put in another 250 ton order.
Okay. Just so we've got it,
Yeah, I think we're good yet this year. I think we should be able to finish out the year. The order may get increased for the early spring one, if we continue to have this weather like this. So
yeah, but make sure we got it, because we can't put it down if we don't have it.
Yep.
I do have a question for Jeff, if I could. I've recently got some complaints again about the plowing. During the mid-afternoon, the streets are getting plowed and they're going around all the vehicles, and it's just a big mess when they're done because they're not plowing at night when the streets are supposed to be clear. And some of the residents don't understand that they have to keep the vehicles off the street at nights, but that's not even plowing. And I just refer them to Jeff, so.
Well, it depends on when the snow comes in. I don't have no control of that. So, I mean, today it was snowing quite a while this morning. Or, depending on how early you got in. I know it was snowing probably like at 4:00 in the morning this morning. So you can't really have them out there at 10:00 last night if it ain't really snowing. To clean up the roads. So.
Going to start snowing it's going to start snowing in a few minutes now again.
Yeah. And I got the guys, I already talked to them to have them come in early tomorrow. I was planning on getting in early start and getting on the parking lots and everything and getting the roads cleaned up. When I got all the guys in, I can concentrate on, I can have the parking lots and the streets being done at the same time. So. But when it's like on a weekend, I usually only bring in two of the guys to handle the streets. Depending on how much snow we get, of course, too.
Okay.
Any other questions for anybody?
Joe, I have a comment if you don't mind.
Okay.
Just in the interest of keeping the council advised, we had an interesting case this past week where a gentleman had failed to appear for a court appearance on a sexual offender status. He appeared before Judge Bitzer because Judge Bitzer allowed him to do it remotely by Zoom. And the gentleman was claiming he's a truck driver. He claimed he was in his truck, and he kind of lost his mind on the whole hearing thing and threatened to kill Judge Bitzer, among some other things. So there were multiple, we got the investigation. We got multiple felony warrants for him, and we got a search warrant to ping his phone, and we located him in Texas. We got a hold of authorities in Texas, and he was arrested in Texas, and the U.S. Marshal Service is bringing him back. So in case you hear rumors about that, that did happen. I can't imagine the outcome for him is going to be good since he threatened to kill a seated judge, but just so you know if you hear something about it.
Presumably
Okay,
recorded
you,
on law.
Wow.
It's kind of like when you write about 101 ways to go back to prison, but anyway, yeah.
Number 76.
Thank you. That's all I had. Thanks.
Wow.
Nobody else has any comments? Entertain a motion on the consent agenda?
Now you can do it, Bob.
Now I'll make my motion to accept the consent agenda as read.
I'll support it.
Same.
Yeah, motion and
That way too
support.
fast.
Is there any further discussion? Okay, Sarah, we can't hear you, Sarah.
Who supported that?
Tisha
Either
did.
myself or Corey, pick one.
Tisha, thank you. Campbell,
Yes.
Eschenbacher,
Yeah.
Hall,
Oh, Donnie.
he's chewing probably.
He's getting on taco.
Don, you there?
He's chewing.
I'll come back. Jones Hollaback,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Botchke,
Yes.
I was trying to unmute. I don't know what happened. Yes. I
Mayor
was
Green?
pushing it the whole time. You guys
Yes.
always doing.
Yes. Motion carried.
Well, look, you were chewing.
No, I
Likely
wasn't.
story.
I couldn't figure out how to get it on unmute for some reason.
Uh-huh.
Look,
Oh,
I haven't
okay.
ate yet. Look, see, I haven't eaten. It's still here, full. See,
That's the third or fourth one.
third.
Okay, let's move on to the regular agenda, MML dues. Sarah?
Yes, these are the annual MML dues that we bring to council every year to approve whether or not you want to stay with the MML or not. And included in the packet was information on all the benefits we get from MML.
My God. Sorry, my computer just made my packet really tiny and I couldn't see it.
Well, what was this, 3,100, Sarah? Is that what you're talking about?
3144.
Yes,
3144.
MML, yeah, my motion is to pay the dues to MML for $3,144.
I'll support that.
We got a motion and support. Any further discussion? Okay, Sarah?
Eschenbacher,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Jones Hollaback,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Botchke,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Mayor Green.
Yes, motion carried. Item number 2, spring cleanup date, to set the date for spring cleanup.
Yeah, this is our annual spring cleanup we do every year that we are granted in our contract with Mterra. We always do it the first weekend in May. I've been in contact with Mterra. They're still good with keeping with the first weekend in May, but we just need to officially set that.
I'll make the
Didn't we have to
motion
move it last time?
Yeah, we had to move it last year because of COVID. That was right when, well, we were starting to set it right when COVID started, and Mterra asked us to hold off on it until later in the year last year.
That's not an issue this year.
That's not an issue this year. That's why I made sure to ask them before bringing it to you guys.
Okay.
Do we need a motion on that?
Yes, please.
I'll make the motion to set the date for the spring cleanup at May 1st, 2021.
Support.
I'll support it.
A motion and support. Any further discussion? Okay, Sarah?
Paul,
Yes.
Jones Hollaback,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Botchke,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Eschenbacher,
Okay.
Mayor Green.
Yes, motion carried. And
What's
moving
your
on to,
concern, Bob?
Huh?
What's your concern?
Oh, no concern. I was just playing with Sarah.
Oh, I was like, okay.
I gotta mess with Sarah a little bit.
No, I mean, I know
I
we've
heard-
talked before about having something else because this only takes 50 tires.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a multiplicity of.
That was me that was complaining about that.
Well, I guess 50 is
You're
better.
not the only one, Don. Other people on this council have made that point, but
50 is better than none, but last year when we had it, well, you were down there, Don. We moved all that brush. How many tires did you see in that trailer?
0.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, we didn't have very good participation last year.
I mean, we had more. I think me and Don and Jill and Tanya hauled more brush from the city trimming trees down there to them than people brought. I mean, there was some people brought some brush down. We've seen, don't get me wrong, but there was no tires.
No,
And as far as big, heavy objects, there wasn't anything there.
No,
There-
not really.
it was really light participation last
But-
year.
I think it was the time placement though, because like somebody said, COVID and, everybody was worried about it. And
plus,
right.
plus the county always offers us the chance to bring in their trailer for tires too.
Right.
We always had the option of bringing in their trailer for recycling and
Okay.
collect tires.
Right, but we've always turned it down because of
Yes,
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to mention they reached out to us like last week and offered the mosquito control tire removal program too.
Right.
unless
Does
we
it
want to
cost?
consider one of them later in the summer.
Does that cost us, the city?
No, it
No.
doesn't.
No.
Sometimes in Randy's report, we see, him mention tires and tires in yards or tires, but I haven't even seen a lot of tires mentioned in his report.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that if that has been a concern with blight.
Yes, if I could interject there, it's
Yeah.
lately it has not been. And any of the tires that I've been blighting, they're usually because people have changed tires, maybe from snow tires to regular tires, summer tires, and they just don't put them in the garage and they lean them up against the garage or something. That's been the main thing. It has not been junk scrap tires. A lot anymore, if anybody goes in and gets their tires changed, like at Stevens, you know, they keep them anyway. So
Right.
our biggest thing as far as any kind of junk right now has been a lot of pallets. That's been a big hitter. So.
And also on tires, if you take them to the recycling center, yes, it costs you $2 a tire to turn them in there.
Right.
And
But anyway, I just wanted to make sure Bob wasn't.
I was good. I was just messing with Sarah.
All right.
Somebody's got to mess with her once in a while.
Oh, I'm sure somebody does.
And I'll make sure anybody between now and then that if I do have a tire issue, that I include that date on the notice.
Oh, that'd be great.
Right.
That
So
would be really
care
nice.
of that. Correct.
Good thinking.
Nice,
Oh.
yeah.
Okay, the next item is reviews for the city manager and clerk treasurer. Do you request to go into closed session?
They did.
Sarah and Matt?
We did, yes, or we are. So I would just need a motion to
Go
enter
in.
into closed session for the purpose of discussing personnel evaluations.
I'll make that motion.
Sarah.
I was gonna say, so moved.
All right, I got Bob and second.
I'll support.
Support.
Great.
Got motion and support. Any discussion?
I will make a discussion. I think this is a really bad idea. According to Matt's contract, he's not supposed to have only one review on the date or up until the date of his 1-year anniversary. And this will be his second review. And so I see this as a breach of his contract. And I think it puts the city in a really bad position that we could be sued if this goes the wrong way. So I'm going to vote no to go into closed session. Or to even discuss the reviews. I'm not saying that he would sue us, but it does put us in a really bad position. Because this would be his second review since hiring on. And his contract says one review at each 1 year.
Well, if that's what his contract says, then I'm in agreement with you. Just excuse me.
And you guys know that we've already reviewed him once. And this would be the second one.
Does that go for Sarah too, Tisha?
No, Sarah's contract doesn't say that. To the best of my knowledge.
Well, it's not fair to do one and not both.
But
So-
we just reviewed her 6 months ago too.
You're right. We did.
For the record, I don't mind being reviewed if that's up for discussion. But I would like it to be in concert with my contract moving forward.
And when would that be, Matt?
The contract says of March of each year.
March of each year?
Yes.
But you got to remember, we've already done one 6
Right.
months ago.
So
Right.
why did we do
Another one.
why did we do one 6 months ago?
You'd have to ask the person in charge of that one 6 months ago.
Okay, from MML, they recommend giving comments to them, your manager and stuff on a more often basis than once a year.
But
Because
they
if
do
they-
not
Hey,
recommend,
Sarah, Tisha, you're out of order. They
I'm not.
recommend giving comments and issues versus doing it once a year. Once a year, you can go by a whole year without any communication with your manager or your people. That's
At
why
CapCon,
they recommend quarterly even.
at comments, yes. At CapCon a year and a half ago in Lansing that I went to, that you went to, I went to the manager and council relations breakout session. There, I asked them how often they did actual reviews of their people, and they said not more than once a year. When I said that we did ours every 6 months, they looked at me and said, that's why Caro has a problem with city managers.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they said to me. So comments, yes, I agree that we should give comments to our manager every time we have communication with him. But doing a review and threatening his job, I do not agree with, because that's in his contract for once a year in March.
So we got a motion and a second on the floor to go into closed session.
So
Any further discussion?
yeah, so if we want to remove that from the closed discussion, then what do we got? Like if we want to follow through with Tish's notion, not motion, how does that move forward?
Gotta vote on the first motion first.
They have a right to remove their motion also, or rescind their motion.
Go do that.
Well, I guess I'm in favor of being in communication with our manager and with our clerk treasurer. But if the contract says once a year, it's once a year. That's, I mean, that's it. We can't go into closed session and have another review.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I don't see anything wrong with like having you know, time where we say, hey, you're doing a good job, but could you do more on this or whatever, but not a whole review if it's only supposed to be once a year.
But we do that with them every meeting. We say, hey, you know, when it comes to this, do you think you could communicate with XYZ department head this? Or can you communicate to this attorney XYZ this?
See, like in the past, when we did the former reviews once a year, they were about 4 or 5 page review. They went into a lot more details. So if you want to hold off and do it that way, we can too.
If that's what an actual review looks like, then that's fine, but it needs to be once a year at the anniversary of his contract, not twice a year and threatening lawsuit.
Yeah, I didn't know he had that in his contract.
Me either.
Bob, you and Joe made the contract.
I never made the contract for that. I never made Matt's contract.
So it was Joe by himself?
No, I never. No.
It was basically Frank taking the last
one.
contract, and Frank based it off of the last contract.
Yeah, we never actually made a contract. Frank, I think, made this contract up, and we just kind of like went through it.
So it was basically the same contract.
Yeah, but there was people from our council that had to look at the contract,
right,
and prove it. Who were the 2 people from this council?
It wasn't me.
The mayor and
I think it was Brian.
Oh, maybe it might have been
But
Brian.
it doesn't matter if it says once a year due to his contract, then we need to skip it.
And so that would raise the next question. Does that mean in 15 days we need to do his review in March?
Well, we've already did one this year. It said 1 a year. We already did it.
We did one 6 months ago.
We did
It says once a year.
Yeah, that's
once
also
a year in March.
Yeah, so the one we did 6 months ago is the one that's actually out of contract.
So actually, we won't do another one now for 18 months.
Right.
That was rather my point.
So I guess I'm going to rescind my, was it me, Sarah? Did you write down for that to go into?
Yes.
I'll rescind that motion to go into closed session. And guess what it's doing, folks? It's snowing.
Yay!
Just
We
about
can
on
s-
time,
we
too.
can still go into closed session for the purposes of Sarah's review, can't we?
No,
Mm-mm.
if we're not gonna do both, I'm not gonna do either. Because she already had one 6 months ago too. It's not fair for one, not the other.
Okay, that motion got rescinded.
Yes.
I think you're both doing a great job, by the way.
I do too.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, let's move on to items tabled and pending. Any, Sarah?
I didn't have any.
Committee liaison position reports, the EDC. There hasn't been a meeting recently until next week. We don't have our meeting, so that'll be coming up later. Number 2, Chamber of Commerce, Matt.
Chamber of Commerce is working on the Youth Citizen of the Year award. I think you've seen it probably in the paper asking for nominations. The executive director is back to work. She's in the office. We're getting back in the swing of things at the chamber. So they're going to be working on some things moving forward. They're setting up committees for events like Cars and Crafts and next year's Gingerbread Village and things like that. So they're trying to get fired back up.
Okay, thank you. Parks and Rec, Jill.
Parks and Rec met. We were gonna go visit bathrooms last week, but with so many of us being involved in retail and with it being the week before Valentine's Day, we just couldn't pull that one off to break away in the middle of the afternoon to go look at the restrooms in Frankenmuth. So I think that's been rescheduled. We're going to do Frankenmuth and Bay City both this week, just to get some ideas of how they've done their bathroom, locker room, changing room, just to see what that whole package looks like in and around their splash pads. And we're working on just some short, sweet, and to the point rules to post at the splash pad, wanting to keep things simple so that people will actually read them and use them as a guide rather than look at this wall of words and say, I'm not even going to read it. So right now we're waiting for the weather to change so we can get some resolution with the concrete and move forward with capital projects at the park.
Okay, thank you. Planning Commission.
Yeah, last Tuesday night we had a planning commission meeting and we got kind of deep into the master plan of redoing our master plan. And this is going to take all of us to do it. This is not going to need to be, we're going to put down a few new words on a sheet of paper and hand it in and say, there it is. This master plan is going to get pretty in depth and into things that haven't been done in, well, what is it, 7 years, 9 years, I think Matt said. So it's going to get in depth. It's going to get a little costly, maybe. We've got things out there to see how much this is going to cost us, but it needs to be updated and it needs to not sit on a shelf and it needs to be put in the place and used. And also in the planning commission, we talked about the 5,000 square foot lots, which we have Mike doing a little from Row, doing a little bit more research on these 5,000 square foot lots of what can and kind of can't be done and how we can change our ordinance and be legal. So we do have, I think we were going to have Matt, were we sending that out to the attorney?
We're going to start with the planner first.
The planner, that's right.
Yep.
So the master plan eventually will come to a planner. Am I saying that right, Matt?
We're gonna have the planner review the lot size language to give us some suggestions, and then we'll evaluate how we want to approach it. Because Mike had two possible ways to approach it. One was very complicated, and the other one was still complicated, but less so.
Right. So it is in the works. It's coming along, and I hope that it probably won't be done until fall, though, until the master plan comes back. So we didn't have to pay like 2 attorneys for the same amount of work. So that was the planning commission meeting last Tuesday night.
Okay, thank you, Bob.
Yep.
Tuscola County Board of Commissioners.
Sorry, I had to step away from my computer for a minute. Am I there?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. I did talk with a couple commissioners today. And I found out, Don, you'll be so happy. They are taking RFPs for new building codes and planning, like, people. So they are taking RFPs currently for new countywide building codes inspectors and stuff like that.
Yay.
The whole county rejoices. That's what I said.
So what are you saying? It's not going to be through,
It will not be through SCMCCI anymore.
that's a good thing.
They are done with those people. They've had it. They're taking RFPs. They just voted on that last week. So I don't know when the RFP goes out or when it's due back or anything like that, but it is going. They are moving forward on it. They have voted and it's going out. But the commissioner that I spoke to said, and he's just one of 5, so don't listen to him, but he encourages municipalities to find their own people to do that.
Thank you. That's what I was been saying.
So I don't know how true that is, but Arbula Township does it, and some of the townships over in that part of the county do it. They have their own companies that do the codes and approvals of plans and stuff like that. And he said they would rather have it that way than using the counties anyway. So for what it's worth. Sarah, this part's for you. There was a case before the state Supreme Court about tax foreclosure sales. And no longer can you add stuff like mowing and trash pickup and water and sewer back owed things onto this tax foreclosure things. So it's not going to be allowed anymore.
Thank you. I'll have to look into that. Yeah, I haven't seen any
The
on that.
case that was before the Supreme Court made it so that any profit made off the sale of a tax foreclosure goes back to the original homeowner instead of to the county to make the county whole, or back to the city to make the city whole with back taxes or trash and mowing and water and sewer and all that stuff. So you can't add that on to anything. The Supreme Court said only taxes, period. And taxes mean taxes, and that's it. So just something for you to look up, because we can't charge for those extra little things anymore. They can't be charged back from the county. The county is looking at getting back from the state land bank now the parcels of land by the by the state hospital, by the Caro Center. So they don't know the exact parcels they're looking, or that they're getting back yet, but and it looks like there might be some brownfield development to tear down some of the old buildings. So like that, like the prison building that used to be back there might be getting torn down through brownfield money. So they're taking a deeper look into that so that it can be kind of not rebuilt, but kept for like trails and maybe another county park instead of like a facility site.
Thought those sites were for sale.
No, but I don't know how to put it, but nobody got approved for them. Like the state never approved anyone for
Right.
them. So it all reverted back to the state. And now they can put it back into the county for a county land bank, or they can keep it in a state land bank. And so the county is looking right now into a county land bank, but the cost is like ridiculous unless the state gives them this money for brownfield and tears out the buildings. If they tear out the buildings, it would make it feasible for the county to use it for something. So that's what they have to weigh, is whether or not it's usable for anything. If they give the county brownfield money and take out those, like that prison facility that's back there, so that it can be used for like a trail, or like Kim Vaughn wants to use it for like a campground, like a county campground, then maybe it could be feasible for the county in that sort of sense. So that was my conversation with a couple of the.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Tisha? And move on to the Fair Board.
That's you, Jill. Oh, no,
Hey,
I'm sorry.
I don't know anything about the fair board. I don't know anything.
Okay,
Who is that? Who has-
Is it still Neil Jackson? Is he the?
Wait, do I have
Oh,
who has the fair board?
Yeah,
Me.
who's the liaison?
Me.
Oh, okay. I was like, I don't even know who has that one.
Yeah, it's me.
Neil Jackson and Jim Will are a couple of the main and John Riley.
I don't know of any meetings that I've missed or anything. I should just reach out to those guys and talk about spring.
Or just
I'll do
talk to
that.
them what they're talking about, yes.
Yep, I'll do that before the next meeting.
Okay, Indian Fields Township, that's me. I listened in on their township meeting, and they were discussing basically the budget, getting the proposed budget out there to the supervisor puts together the budget and puts it to the other members. And they had a big discussion on their attorney fees for the year. That was how much they spent on attorney fees. And another thing in Indian Fields Township, we got a copy of it, is the Indian Fields Township Master Plan. And they're redoing it, and they sent it out to us for comments. And I read over the master plan. There's some areas we maybe should comment on, the parcels of land that we have out in the township, what they're proposing to have them zoned for and stuff. That's not really compatible, but that we have them. Like before, they had land labeled as public use, and now on the new map, they're showing it as residential. I'm talking about where the Exchange Club Forest is and that. So maybe we should comment on the zoning and also look into the zoning surrounding our parcels, or like the arsenic plant, what they have zoned there, to make sure that is zoned properly, that we don't have any industry that can come close to that may contaminate our water wells and stuff. So they have, I don't know if the meeting's set, there's a meeting set in March. I heard in March sometime that they're going to be taking the comments, or we can give written comments. Next one is Elmer Township. We can't hear,
You're
we
muted,
can't hear
Emily.
you.
Sorry. I found out their planning commission is continuing to work on a solar ordinance, and they're using a Wells Township ordinance as a template. And they also approved supporting the Tuscola County Airport Authority for zoning around the airport to be compatible with the air traffic safety. And that was about it.
Okay, thank you, Emily. Moving on to the mayor's report. We just had an airport meeting last week, and what's coming up is a meeting with MDOT and the engineers to review the plans for rehab of the main runway. The proposal is to have the engineers drop the plans and specs for it, to have it milled and repaved in 23. And then also the Indian Fields Township Master Plan came up to have, like they have the airport zone as in industrial, and it's really public. So that, and then also to have land around the airport that is light industry, not heavy industry, because that would conflict with the airport zoning around the airport. And then also I was on the conference call with the Caro Center. Everything seems to be moving along with that. They're working on the one water agreement. Matt has back on the water agreement with us and with the pipeline. And then there's two others I think Matt said there's working on. And then I listened in on the planning commission meeting, and I got a question from a citizen. Do we have wood chips to give away at the old dump? And that's another thing we have to make sure, and what our old dump property is zoned as in the Indian Fields Township plan, master plan too. That's about all I have. Do we, Matt or Jeff, do we know if we have wood chips out there that we can relieve residents get or not?
I was going to kick it over to Jeff because I'm not sure. But I think Jeff was on the phone, but he must not be anymore. I'll ask him and I'll send out a follow-up. Oh, he sent me a text. No, we don't.
No, we don't. Okay. Yeah, his name is still up there.
Right.
Okay, next item is manager's comments.
Yeah, I submitted a written report and I decided to start highlighting some of the newer stuff because I know there's a lot of spillover that I'm consistently working on. But the police edition is substantially complete, as Chief mentioned earlier. They're finished. I think there's a couple of things on the outside that our site contractor has to come back, like the signs on the walls, things like that they were responsible for, that they'll have complete by spring. Chief's moving in, the officers are moving in. They're doing it in phases. There's a lot that has to move over, so that shouldn't be too much longer because I know that the chief has been working long hours trying to get everything set up. So kudos to him for taking ownership of that process and getting everything moved over. I know that he put together the gym equipment with a couple others, and the office furniture they came in and put together. And I know that DPW has been helping when they can as well. The good news is for the police building is that we came in just about $300 under budget for that project. So it's not a lot of savings, but we did okay. So
Wow.
Budget.
Better than going over budget, right?
Yep.
Yeah, for
absolutely.
sure.
Yes. The next thing that's new is that I did submit a lease review to Gary Cruz to take a look at for the Roadhouse Museum. Jeff and I met with the Roadhouse folks, I'd say a couple weeks ago, and they had some requests and comments. I submitted those to Gary to take a peek at in return, so we can continue our back and forth on that.
I thought we were giving that to him.
Giving it to him straight up, or I thought it was like a lease, an annual.
Oh, I
lease.
thought it was like $1 or something.
Yeah, roughly. It'll be like a symbolic dollar annual lease type.
Gotcha. Okay.
I also attended the Planning Commission meeting on February 10th. Attended the Chamber of Commerce meeting on February 4th. I am working with Mark St. Clair out of Reese to get an appraisal on the police building because there's been a couple of individuals interested in that, and we just need to know how much it's worth. So, working on that. I met with the Tuscola County Sheriff regarding the jail project. He just wanted me to be up to date on their plans, and I didn't know this, but I started getting emails about the jail task force, and apparently I was put on that for some reason. So I'll be working, I guess, with the sheriff on that. The Vortex splash pad issue, I wanted to update council. The payment went through. I received word back from Rock Products. They received their payment in the amount of $10,582. They also submitted for our records a full unconditional lien waiver. So we have that in our files. So we know that strategy, at least as far as Rock Products is concerned, went through the way we thought it would. So they are out of the equation at this point. So now we can focus on dealing with Vortex in the spring. The Walby case, I can't discuss too much details in open session, but we are waiting on the attorney to get with us regarding a hearing that needed to be scheduled. Until that time, the case is on hold. So at some point, we'll do a closed session with the attorney to bring everyone up to date on that.
What is that one? I'm sorry.
The dentist's office down the
All
street.
right, that's what I thought. Yep.
Yep. I think that's all you probably need to hear.
Yep, I'm familiar with that.
Yep. And then the Caro Center agreements the mayor alluded to. I had a meeting with our attorneys on Zoom with the Attorney General's office to talk about the agreement language. We're very close on the construction of the agreement itself. Once that is out of the way, I'll be sending out a draft to council to take a peek at and get your feedback on if we've missed anything. And that should be in the next couple of weeks. The next steps with that will be council will approve or not approve that. You'll be able to have that opportunity. And then once it's approved, it will go to the DTMB State Administrative Board for their approval. Once that's executed, all the provisions will be in place and we can move forward on construction. The bid opening for construction is on Monday. So we will not be proposing a construction contract until after this agreement is settled. So we've got some overlapping timelines that we're working with, but it's important to keep the process moving. And that's it, if there are no other questions.
Matt, on this agreement that with the Caro Center, is this agreement of how we're going to issue bills and payments to?
Yes.
Or how this is going to be paid for?
Yeah, it's actually essentially a simple process. We'll provide them with bills and they have 30 days to pay them. If they have a dispute, they cut out their dispute item and they pay the rest.
So we're just gonna, the contractor will give us the bills, we submit them to the state, and the state pays the bill.
No,
Correct?
Pays us.
Pays
the
us?
state would reimburse. So we would get the bill from the contractor.
Okay.
We would pay the contractor. The state would reimburse us.
Okay. And now this is going to affect, Sarah, how is this going to affect us with money if we have to take money out of our general fund to pay these bills. 'Cause I'm sure when these bills come along, these aren't gonna be small little bills.
This money's gonna be coming from the water and sewer funds, right, Matt?
It'll be coming from water.
Right, but water, you know, I hate to see the water not have any money in it because we paid the bill for the state and then we gotta wait 30 days. I mean, can we, how are we gonna do that?
The bills won't be, we're not gonna get $1 million bill up front.
Okay,
So it'll be, you know, the first bills we've already been working in good faith with Roe on the engineering and design and all that stuff. We've already paid those bills, so we have a stack of stuff for the state to reimburse already.
okay,
Once we get to the construction phase, we'll have another contract with Roe for the construction engineering. That'll be the next big piece, and then once we get to the construction aspect of it, it'll be a monthly bill from the contractor who's awarded the bid. It'll be very similar to the farmers market project.
okay.
We received a
I
few
mean, we're not gonna get
$100,000.
slapped with like $500,000 right off the top.
I don't think so. I mean, I can't guarantee that, but I don't think that will happen.
Because
we do have adequate cash flow, and I guess Sarah can confirm that. But
No, we would need to pull some money out if we're gonna be getting $1 million bills.
yeah, and I can't see we would get $1 million bill. I mean, it'd be a few $100,000 at a time, I would guess.
Matt, how many days, if we get a bill from the contractor, do we have 60 days to pay or what, you know?
Well, it depends on the contract. Yeah.
It depends what's in the contract.
Right.
So we might get the reimbursement already before we have to cut the check. It might happen that way too.
Yeah.
Which would be fine, but I don't want Sarah to have to pull money to pay the bills. Or those bills anyway.
Right.
Any other questions for Matt?
Either way, we're gonna have to pull out of the general and put it in the water, right?
Not out of the general. It'll be out of pooled cash. Really, what Bob's concerned about is if we have money tied up in CDs.
Right. I'm more concerned about taking our money out of the bank to have to pay a bill. You know, I figure we have enough cash around to spend 200,000 on a bill, but I don't want to see some bill come flopping down here at $500,000 and I got to send Sarah down to the bank and pull out 2 CDs to cover it until they reimburse us. Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, just, or like if you look at the bills this month, they're $1,250,000 we're paying this month
Yeah.
right now.
But most of that money is tax money that we're holding.
No, the big one is Three Rivers Construction,
Oh,
128.
that is on there too.
401 to the county. We're moving money around on this one, this month.
I just don't want to see us have to go to the bank to pay the bills for the state waters line. That's all.
Well, the water line's ours, but.
I know, but I don't. You know, they agreed to pay for it, and I just don't want Sarah to have to say, okay, guys, you know, you're going to have to give me the authority to go pull out a CD to cover this because we need to cover it.
So I don't want the state to be 90 days to reimburse us or
Right.
something like that.
Right.
But,
They're actually
yeah,
required by statute. Apparently, and I learned this last week, the state's required by statute to pay all their bills in 45 days.
Tell that to the court system.
Allegedly. But
Well.
our contract is written with a 30-day turnaround, so hopefully.
Well, hopefully that'll work. Okay.
Okay.
What are
Sarah,
we thinking the total cost on this thing is?
About 2.4 million, depending on the bids we get back. next week.
That's what I remembered. Okay, just checking to make sure I remembered correctly.
okay, Sarah.
Hey, I attended a MDOT investing reporting webinar this last 2 weeks, and I've received notification that we won't be having a May election, so that's good news. Attended the department head meeting, attended an MML finance webinar, attended the planning commission meeting. Board of Review will be meeting on March 1st to have their organizational meeting. Property assessments will be mailed out at least by February 22nd. The Board of Review will hear appeals from the assessments Monday, March 15th from 9 to 3 p.m. and Tuesday, March 16th from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. We're recommending if you'd like to make an appointment, appointment would be recommended. It's not necessary, but it was recommended, especially this year we're doing them on Zoom because we have to. So it's a little different than we've normally ever done it. We'll be meeting with the website designer tomorrow to start that process. And we published the city attorney RFP too.
Sarah, as I was zooming around sorry, that was a pun. I was not intentional. As I was traveling around our webpage today, I noticed that we have a page called Guide to City Services, and it's from a flyer that you guys also have.
Yes.
On that flyer on the bottom, it says that county commissioners meetings are held the second and fourth Tuesday of every month.
Okay, we'll fix that.
And that's not correct. Yeah.
Thank you, Tisha.
Yep.
That's why I got one other item to bring up. I don't know if it's item to bring up. I met with the people who want to buy the church on Joy Street. Right now, they want to set up a mission and thrift store in there. Right now, they run one in Sandusky where they have the mission where they're allowed to house up to 20 people. They have 14 there now, and these people also work in the thrift store. They only can stay there 120 days. And they have a purchase agreement on the church on Joy Street, and they would like to put up a mission. They even said they have a few people from our county in their mission there. You know, we have people in trouble here, and I think it'd be a good deal, but we got a small snag or a snag.
The zoning.
The zoning might be okay, but right now, living, our zoning says living only can be on the second floor in a, what is it, B1 or B2 district. And living here would be on the lower level. And talked to Mike Carpenter, he said it wouldn't be that much of a change to have it, living could be in the lower level too versus on the second floor. But they would like to know if they can proceed, or they have to get our blessing to proceed on this mission. They have a purchase agreement on it, and I don't know what you guys think, if we should.
Do they understand that that's a historical building, and if whatever they do to it has to go back?
Yes, they plan to keep it as a historical building and everything. Yes.
Okay, I just didn't know if they understood all the way that worked over there.
Yeah,
I think it's something the community could use, so I'm game for doing whatever we got to do.
Right. Well, let me just make mention here, though, that they're going through the administrative process right now.
Yes.
In order for that to fly, they need to get a special condition use permit and have a site plan review.
Right.
So it needs to go to the planning commission first.
yes.
Yeah.
But I'm throwing it out there, they want to know, you know, if the whole council was dead against it, they would probably drop it. But they feel it's something we need in the area. Like they said, this would just be for men, not women. They would have to work in the thrift store. The thrift stores help support it. And like the people there would get 2 meals a day, you know? So, and also they talk about possibly operating a food bank too out of it and stuff like that, you know? It's something that, and looking at the site on it where it's at is really doesn't, it butts up to a parking lot on 2 sides of it. Yes, there's a residence on the back side, but then across the street is commercial. You know, it might be a good fit right there if we can just get the living situation worked out.
Can the men that are gonna work in the thrift store also work on cleaning up and painting and?
Yes, they can volunteer around town or
I'm
nonprofit.
talking about the outside of the building that they're gonna be living in.
Oh, they have plans to fix it all up and they have money already. But
Okay.
people there can work it for community service and all of that around town and nonprofits too. People that are living there, they have to. That's part of the deal, that they provide services for around town and work in the thrift store. And like they said, once they check back in at 7, 8 o'clock at night, they aren't allowed to leave or stuff like that. And they would get services every day and stuff like that. You know, it sounds good, you know, and they invited anybody that would like to come down and see their operation in Sandusky. The chief of police down there is involved heavily in that one down there. I met with him and another guy, you know.
What's it called in Sandusky?
I don't have the card right in front of me. I can get it, you know.
Okay.
You know, I got their card and stuff. Just call up the chief of police down there. You can tell you,
Okay.
or I can get
Sounds
you
like
that.
a great thing as long as it goes through the proper process. If all it
Yes.
does is come here and they try to get our approval without it going through the proper chain of command, I don't like the idea because we've seen what happens when other people do that. It's a disaster. It has to go through planning and zoning before coming to us.
But that's the biggest thing about the living, you know. Like right now, we have a lot of living in commercial buildings on the first floor already, but to keep the businesses alive, they have to, they're doing it already. You know, not legal, but they're doing it.
I don't have a problem with them because they're just going to fix up a building that's eventually doomed for a bulldozer anyway. You know, I hate to say it that way, but that's what it's looking forward. So if they're willing to come and spend their money here and fix this building up and give the homeless guys someplace to stay, yeah, I'm game for it.
Yeah, it may require a text amendment to the zoning
Now,
ordinance.
we may have to do that. So,
But it has to go through them first.
right.
Yes, yes.
But yeah, if they go to see if if planning gives them the green light on it, I would be able to give them the green light on it.
Right.
But that's what they wanted us bringing up here in case everybody on the council was dead against it. They would basically drop it because even if they went through planning, they said they have a architect on board to volunteer his time and all that already, you know.
965 south. Talk about no road, no lines, no nothing.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Whatever that was.
All right then.
Okay. Does anybody on the council have any other comments?
I see Mike Carpenter's hand up over here in the corner.
Okay, Mike.
I can wait till public comment unless we're there.
No, go ahead, Mike.
I was gonna comment on what you were just talking about, but Matt actually beat me to the punch. That not only does the zoning ordinance say that it has to be on the second floor, it specifically excludes the first floor and the lower level. And, you know, I know in my conversations that I don't see what the harm in the lower level would be personally. So that would be a text amendment. Beyond that, I'm not sure there's a whole lot for zoning to do. It would just be, they would just be, occupying the building. on the planning commission note, I want to apologize to, I believe, Bob. At our last planning commission meeting, I guess I was under the assumption that Emily would be our liaison. And Bob, are you the official planning liaison?
I am your liaison.
Well, you are actually a voting member. So, Sarah, does Bob need to be sworn in as a planning commissioner, or because he's already sworn in as a councilman?
I was
Does
never,
not need to be sworn in as a planning commission member.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Well, I didn't. It didn't really hit me till after the meeting. I'm like, well, wait a minute. Who's the liaison now? Because I guess I never heard or checked. So apologize for
it's
that.
me.
But yeah, you're actually a voting member, not just a reporter, so to speak. So
Okay. I figured I was just there to listen and to figure out what was going on. And it's your guys' gig, not mine. I'm the one in the picture.
you're part of the team there, buddy.
the other thing I was going to share real quick is the Elmer Street project. We have processed what I consider to be the last payment. It's technically the second to the last payment, but this is the last payment where money actually exchanges hands. So Elmer Street project, the total dollar amount has been determined and agreed to and all of that. And we can report that we are about 0.8% under budget across the board. That would be water, sewer, and the streets, which doesn't seem like a lot. And it's not, but on a $1.3 million job, it is several $1,000s. But so that project did come in under the bid amount. Of course, if you remember, the bids come in way under the budget, way under what we estimated it would be by about 300,000 or something to that degree. So it's good to get that buttoned up finally. It kind of stalled out for a few months trying to get a contractor to agree to everything, and it's not that he was disagreeing, he just wasn't doing anything for a while. So yeah, I guess that's it.
Okay, are there any other public comments?
I got a question for Matt. That Arcade Jeweler building, were you able to learn anything about that?
No, I'm still waiting to hear back from the building department.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
What building is that?
That one that's falling down on the corner. Is it the corner of Lincoln and State?
The building where the barber shop was,
Yes. Yes.
where you can't get your hair cut anymore, Bob.
I know
Right.
it.
That building.
That's the one.
Well, one of us still can.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Mike. Yeah, but the problem with that building is if you're gonna go after those guys with the bricks falling and it's all falling down, I got a church over here on the corner that's doing this exact same thing and we ain't done a thing about yet.
Well, my question to Matt the other day was who owns it and is it for sale and is it for sale? That was
I don't, as far as I know, the building is not for sale, as far as I know.
Hey,
the,
that's
The guy that owns it doesn't live in town. He lives down someplace by Detroit, is the last I knew,
I think it's
And-
Jackson.
or someplace down south.
and that's another one he bought at tax sale. He bought that one at tax sale.
Okay, well,
but no one knows his intent.
I don't think anybody knows who he is.
Yes, they do. You know, the DNA,
DNA, DDA.
the DDA, you know, he approached them when they had the facade program.
Okay,
He wanted to do things his way and not according to the rules and stuff. And then he got mad that, you know, he put those windows in. Now, according to the facade program, those windows didn't qualify. You know, he's out looking for grant money to help him fix it up. That's what it boils down to, I feel, you know.
But do we know why he wants to own the building? What's he going to do with the building? What does he want to use it for?
He got a deal at tax sale on it.
Yeah, it sounds like an investment.
And that one room by the barber shop there, he has that packed full of treasures.
If
Okay,
you want to
so,
call them,
so
What?
he is using it.
it's storage is what it is.
Storage
Okay.
place.
Okay,
And one time he mentioned, oh, he might open up I want to say junk store, but treasure, antiques and stuff,
Secondhand store.
His storage.
well, I had someone approach me within the week about the possibility of buying it. So I guess if we can continue to pursue finding out who he is and we can be in contact with him as
Or-
to if he would like to sell, that would be wonderful.
Or
That's-
put that person in contact with Steve Erickson. I know Steve Erickson's been talking with him on stuff.
Okay,
Or,
okay.
or the treasurer's office can tell you who owns it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sarah can too.
Sarah can too, yep.
Yeah. Then I want to throw out one more idea that just to think about. Did anybody ever think about citywide internet for all the citizens? It's just something to think about. Some cities are doing it, hotspots. Some are doing citywide internet. Just have internet for all your citizens. Or help make Caro a place where people want to be. That was brought up just a while ago. Okay, are there any other public comments?
To your comment, Joe, I remember when I worked in Cass City, they were talking about bringing fiber internet to Cass City because it's really attractive to tech companies, and they look for municipalities that are friendly for that sort of stuff. If you've got the right type of internet connection, you can do your business wherever you.
Yes, we have fiber in Caro, but this is to offer a citywide internet to everybody for free based on the taxpayers of Caro.
I guess my only thing is are we gonna be able to do the Easter egg hunt this year? Maybe we should start thinking about that, if we can maybe do that. I don't know if we can maybe do it or.
Okay, on that, Sarah and I, we talked a little bit. The one thing I'm going to recommend that we do for sure is print off an Easter bunny or something and make copy of it and give it to the elementary schools. And that'd be phase one. At least the kids are do something. We have a drawing for a bike or a couple bikes or something,
Okay.
Well, I don't know. We're racking our brains if we can do anything in the parks or not without. It depends what happens after the 21st. If they say you can have public gatherings outside and let the bigger groups or not, Yes, we talked about it a little bit. Then another thing was to have the Easter Bunny rider. Last year, there was an Easter Bunny rode around town in the back of a pickup. I don't know who did that, but that happened last year. We could do that to the Easter Bunny ride around town. We're tossing around a couple ideas right now, but
As long as it's not Scary Bunny from a few years ago.
yeah, we need to buy a new bunny costume. That one.
Oh my God, that bunny outfit was scary for those little kids that came up crying. It was awful.
You know who you could. We thank John Sauber for donating that to us.
Well, if it was a donation, thank you, but we need to find
But that's where that one came from. He used to use that one.
And maybe he could do that this year too, ride around and maybe just, if there's some kids outside to see him, he just leaves some eggs on the grass and the kids can come up and get them later. And maybe, put the stuff in it. And if we're going to give a bike or two away, the kid that has it just has to come to City Hall to claim his prize, or something like that. And we can't have them all outside at one time.
No, but see, after the 21st they're supposed to come out maybe with different standards.
new rules.
New rules.
Oh,
yeah, always.
Just
rules.
cut us loose.
Yeah, instead of wearing one mask, we need to wear 3. That'll be the new rule.
Or
Right.
some other
Or in
things are,
Roxbury too.
other things would be a lot more work is bagging up 3-4 Easter eggs in a bag or something too, That would
But
take a lot more manpower to do.
yeah, but the thing of it is, it makes the kids, happy, and it shows that we're interested in the kids. I mean, they've been screwed over for a year now, basically.
Yeah,
It gives them something to look forward to than instead of sitting home on a computer trying to do their schoolwork.
Right.
At least it gives them something to look forward to.
I was thinking even if they say you only can have small crowds, like put young kids in one spot and then have a different group in a different spot, different in the afternoon or something, spread it out a lot more.
Right.
That you don't have big gatherings,
Right.
everybody at the same time. You could break it up into smaller groups or just do a smaller age group, too,
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
let's see
we're-
what she says after the 21st or 29th or whatever it is. Whenever she's gonna do whatever she's gonna do.
But the one thing is just have the school pass out that sheet to those grade levels, and at least that would be one start of something,
Right.
Any other comments?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Carroll Fire Chief here. Just in regards to the 102 Joy Street project, myself and the city manager, we've been in negotiations with him, letting him know what some of the process is. And of course, he is, like the manager said, going through the process. One of the biggest hurdles he's going to have to overcome is the state fire marshal with living in a basement, anything underground. And what that's going to entail for second means of egress out of there depends on how many people are there. Is he going to have to change the structure for windows, extra doors? We're not sure at this time, but that is something we've already brought to the table. So he knows about it,
Yes.
for any added costs or anything that he's going to have to do. So before, of course, we would give any consent, it would have to be in accordance to whatever the state laws are.
Yes, they understand that, and that's an unusual basement. That's not totally all underground,
Correct.
So they can meet those egresses now without too much work and stuff.
Right. That's what he's hoping. Yep.
They understand that from what they
Okay.
told me.
Perfect.
Entertain a motion if there's nothing else.
There's a Stephen Campbell that has his hand up.
Okay. I can.
Yeah, hi. I was just wondering about that church over there by the old Restoration Outreach Center church. A few times when I've gone from a friend's house and come by there at night, there is a few people that are walking in using the back door. And I've also seen a vehicle there, a silver Suburban, about 3 or 4 days ago. I was just curious. I mean, I thought it was locked up. Apparently it ain't. I mean, is this something that the police department can check on? Because I don't think anybody's supposed to be in there.
They actually sold that church, and they're supposedly fixing that church up for a living quarters. I think the fire chief knows more about that than I do, though.
Right, every now and then.
Okay. Is this the 202 West Burnside?
Correct, chief.
Okay. Yeah, I've been in contact with the city manager on the progress we're making with the occupants that are buying it on a land contract there. Long story short, I met with the building codes and got in there last week, did a report on it that I gave to the city manager. They're anticipating, of course, to have living conditions. We explained extremely strongly that they cannot live in there. They are allowed to work in there like any contractor, anything like that. I know they're trying to work on getting the water and sewer hooked up. They do have electric and gas hooked up at this time. Myself and building codes did a walkthrough, did a video camera walkthrough, and there is a lot of work in there. Building codes is suggesting at this time they're going to have an engineering site plan for some of the reconstruction because of the size of the building. A lot of the other things could be considered asbestos in there, lead in the paint chips. Those are all things going to be handled by an outside professional. At the end of the day, the lady that was there seemed to be overcome as far as financially what they're getting into, and it was strongly advised that they come in and talk to me, and we're going to give them a game plan as far as what all they need to do to get this to where it is. And it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be years and possibly hundreds of thousands of dollars to get it to anything at all what they want. They may have to seek a different venture. So I'm still waiting to meet. They did not show up today for my meeting. Once I meet with them, then we can discuss possibly getting that water turned on for the heat, because they run a boiler system is how the heating's done. So that's the short version of it. On the exterior course, which is mainly what code enforcement is involved in, is they've been given till April 1st, like a lot of people due to the weather and COVID, start working on some of those structural features. So you have any other questions?
Is the end result for people to be able to live there?
That's their goal.
Okay.
Myself and building codes, we don't see it happening. Okay.
Okay.
It's going to take a lot to convert that. There's just so much damage in that building. There was a flood at one time in the basement, and the floor is all gone, rotted out, the wooden floor.
Okay.
So.
And the bell tower that's crumbling.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not an architect. I'm not an engineer. You know, what's actually going on with the exterior, maybe some bricks falling off, or what's actually holding up, I don't know. That's where that engineer's site plan is coming in from building codes, what they want. They're anticipating, they were told they could get $45,000 for the bell. However, nobody's wrote a check for it yet.
Well, the problem would be getting it down without the bell tower itself crumbling down with it.
Yeah.
Right.
But
And
sorry, Chief, I don't mean to sound like I'm making light of the situation. It's just that you're talking to three people that used to go to church there,
Yeah.
that know that there's nothing holding that bell tower up.
and that could be very true. Right. Without knowing actually anything about the structure up in there, that's probably a very good answer. Okay. They were strongly advised, of course, not to be living in there. Explain to them, you know, the health risk for anybody even working there. They should have masks on at all times, just with the atmosphere, the rotting wood. And at no time should anyone be living there, especially kids, you know, and without not in a threatening manner or anything. I just deemed some consequences if Child Protective Services was walk in there. So it's very adamant, you know, what we try to give them, enlighten them what they're getting into.
Sure.
So, you know, I never want to discourage anybody, especially if they want to put money into a building to fix it up, that's fine. But in this case, this would be something for a major contractor to take on. And I'm not sure even a big contractor would want to put up $400,000 into that building. Not sure.
The building's not worth 400,000.
And it wouldn't be, no.
Not
And the
anymore.
part of the problem too is about the bell. Even if they had somebody to write them a check for $45,000 for the bell, the people that hold the land contract won't get the money. Zandy Brodachuk, who's the owner that bought it off the sale from the county, he would cash in on that. So that money still wouldn't even go to the people that are trying to invest in it. So.
Right.
Yeah, because a long time ago, when the church was open, there was bricks falling from the inside from that bell tower.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
And
wasn't aware of that.
and the roof was bad. Back then the pastor was quoted something like $500,000 because that roof totally needed to be completed.
And that's probably true. Yep.
And the floor was going when we were there down in
Right.
the basement.
Right. Like I say, we don't mean to discourage anybody, but I don't think this family knew what they were getting into when they signed on. And I got a good feeling they're going to have a change of mind pretty soon.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay, not a problem.
Any other comments? If not,
Motion
entertain a
to
motion.
adjourn.
Pardon?
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
A motion and support. Sarah?
Botchke,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Eschenbacher,
Yeah.
Hall,
No, I mean, yes.
Jones Hollaback,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Mayor Green.
Yes. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. Bye
Have
now.
a good
Be
evening.
safe out there.
Okay, good night.
Good night.
Mayor, what
Michelle.
time do you think you'll be in tomorrow?
About the same time.
Okay, I'll be here.
What time you gonna be in tomorrow, Sarah?
8.
Well, I heard the roads are already getting drifted over, so.
I have to have coffee first.
Yeah, I can
Gonna be
see
in
on
at
my.
8, gone by 9, Sarah?
What was that?
Gonna be in at 8 and gone by 9?
No.
I have
I
to
was-
have, I have to have coffee from 8 until 9.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe I'll be in a little later, get my driveway plowed through first.
I was gonna say, I did hear it's a blizzard out there right now.
It doesn't
I
look
heard
bad
that too.
It's snowing, but it doesn't look that bad.
I heard some of the roads are pretty bad. I heard they're
Yeah.
drifting over.
Well, my mom said she just let her dog out and it's a blizzard in Northwood subdivision.
I'd rather get dumped on than this 1 inch or 2 inch.
Me too. Me
What are
too.
we-
Oh, crazy. I don't want none at all.
What are we getting? Does anybody know what the last
3 to
report
6.
was?
4 to 7.
4 to 7.
It depends on what radio station you listen to or what news you were listening to.
Yeah,
Right.
we're more right on the edge of it.
Yeah.